Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm glad you guys can join me here today because we're going to be talking about My Hero Academia Chapter 296. And on top of that, we're going to be expanding upon a theory that I did about a year ago regarding an impending jailbreak in My Hero Academia. And spoilers are ahead for the most recent chapter of My Hero Academia, so if you haven't read it, it's available to be read on viz.com, like right now. And since it's recent, it's available to be read for free. So go ahead and read it and come on back, because today's video is about the jailbreak coming in next week's chapter of My Hero Academia, as the remaining Nomu and Shigaraki, controlled by All For One, get ready to raid Tartarus. So before we get started, help keep the lights on and subscribe and hit that notification bell, because man, it turns out All For One could be leaving jail with some pretty heavy hitters. So let's go grab a drink. Alright everybody, welcome to the bar. Grab a seat, grab a drink, and let's get down to our discussion. So, this idea came about in two folds. One, when I was reading the most recent chapter, I was regaled with the fact that my video from a year ago was correct. A jailbreak is coming. And now the circumstances around said jailbreak are way different. I was leaning more towards Shigaraki going in for the sole purpose of killing All For One, but this is All For One literally in control of Shigaraki's body at this point. This jailbreak arc has so much to offer us as viewers, and I just need the scene where All For One has his Nomus begin wreaking havoc to just happen already. Now you, like me, begin assuming what kind of damage could All For One and 7 Nomus do, and who else is coming along for the ride? I mean, the rumor running through the bar right now is that we may have some minor villains returning from their incarceration. Like, for instance, if you don't remember, the first time we met a litany of minor villains, they were liberated from a jailbreak. Among those villains were Magni, Moonfish, Mustard, and Muscular. Well, that's a lot of M's. Anyway, the minute All For One gets inside, he has another Nomu to activate, the All Might Ender. So, for all we know, he walks in and he wakes that thing up and it starts hulking through walls. And I love it. We really haven't had that moment when the main villain of the series just rolls up as this major aggressor. I mean, even in My Villain Academia, Shigaraki was kind of, the defender, and even in this moment right here, he was kind of the defender. The last time we got it was literally, the first 12 episodes of the My Hero Academia anime during the USJ invasion, and that was just, awful. But this is All For One squatted up to the teeth. The one thing that we can always rely on, though, is All For One's weakness when it comes to giving in to, wanting a quirk. The fight in Camino is a prime example. He could have just escaped, but that entire fight is just the culmination of his anger and his avarice coming to a head. Look, if you're just popping on my channel just for the sake of just seeing this video, please go and watch one of my videos about My Hero Academia Vigilantes, because right now, All For One is a major player. In My Hero Academia Vigilantes, we are learning firsthand what it's like to see All For One when he has that addiction to trying to obtain a quirk. Like right now, he's trying so hard to obtain a quirk that he's actually drawn the ire of All Might, and the possibility of the fight that ended both of their careers might actually happen in Vigilantes, so definitely do not sell the story short whatsoever. In Vigilantes, All For One's in the middle of giving a villainous monologue about the moment when you could take somebody's quirk, twist it around, and turn them into a villain. And as for a little bit of elaboration upon who's currently housed up in Tartarus, I didn't mention Moonfish as a joke. Horikoshi himself has actually subtly leaked the jailbreak by saying that he likes Moonfish a lot and that he would like to return him to the fold sometime. And besides the fact that Moonfish is straight out of a Junji Ito novel, we know that he's housed in one place, Tartarus, along with a litany of hitters. So if he comes back, well, open up the bingo book. Additionally, we know the main operation is for All For One to bust out his main body, which is ridiculous because that means All For One has a second consciousness that exists within the singularity and his body back in Tartarus. Now, All For One showing that he has direct influence on the singularity and those connected to the singularity, I wonder if the reverse could be possible, Imagine if Deku gets taken over temporarily, or maybe he even gets attacked by All For One inside of his own consciousness. Also, what happens if Deku gives someone else the controls, or he loses consciousness? I wonder if the users of One For All will start coming out and using their abilities like a My Hero Academia version of the Pokemon move Beat Up. I kind of have a feeling that Deku's gonna end up being in a coma for a little bit. He'll be out for a little while. I wouldn't say a month, but maybe, a little bit longer than that. I'm gonna be making a video about whether or not they can do a short arc inside of the singularity, because right now the only person that could possibly save Deku is Eri, and she just used her quirk up on Mirio. And for those that are saying, yo, Recovery Girl uses your own stamina to speed up the recovery process. So Deku has absolutely zero stamina right now, which means that they're gonna have to break out some wild shit, or he's gonna have to meet the second or third users and awaken some crazy regen quirk. Either way, the doctors told him that if he fucked up his body again, he was gonna start having some serious permanent damage start showing up. And when All For One enters Tartarus, that game plan, like I said, it's twofold. The no-moves are going to cause that distraction by freeing prisoners, and that gives Kurogiri the means to escape. Use him, and then you find the main body. And the mutual understanding that I've seen in my comments is pretty much if Kurogiri gets free, it's game over. He teleports everybody out. I think John-chan, RIP, had a bit of a limit, and we see that All For One was able to actually only bring over, like 7 Nomus? But in comparison, Kurogiri brought over a fucking army. Granted, all those villains were absolute dog shit, and long story short is, if he's out, everybody else is out. Another facet to take into consideration is that All For One doesn't really need Kurogiri to, survive the jailbreak. But the way that I see it, Kurogiri is kind of the key to his plan to a degree. I do hope that the breakthrough that Aizawa had with Kurogiri kind of starts the beginning of that Kurogiri unraveling arc, and maybe something happens that, shows us that he wasn't that perfect Nomu and he could be broken. And while we're discussing Aizawa and Shirakumo, RIP to Midnight, man. Present Mike and Eraser have just lost 2 of their best friends, and I'm ready for the Buzz to team up and get their friend back. Those guys have endured so much, man, and it's time for Eraser and Mike to get a W. The next arc, I have a feeling, is going to be very verbal. Maybe Deku's dad shows up, we have no idea, but the civilians acknowledged this as well. Shit went down. 16,000 people got arrested. It's fucking wild. Now, I don't know how instant one instance is from the other. I'm pretty sure it was still daytime in this area, but over here it's kind of nighttime, so I don't know. But what a moment to do a jailbreak, man. All For One is one sick mamma jamma. Also, thinking about the people that are acting as, security within Tartarus, to a degree, they have to kind of be maybe unranked heroes sitting on outside of the top 10, and maybe some mercenary heroes or something like that. And this moment might end up being something relatively quick, but it might give us the opportunity to give some of those heroes that sit on the outside of the top 10 a chance to get murked. And before I ramble any more about this, for the people that did watch the part 1 video and they're like, yo, Dan, you might have said that Koichi might be locked up in Tartarus. Well, a year later, I'm going to back up on that statement a little bit. We aren't any closer in My Hero Academia Vigilantes to having Koichi locked up, and as much as I'd like to put him in the discussion, being that Pop and Deku are both in comas, there really hasn't been a right window for Koichi to jump into play. I mean, yeah, Koichi now has crimes attributed to him that could land him in Tartarus, and Vigilantes, for the most part of our understanding, is taking place about a year and a half to the current timeline, and that's like a Dan stupid spitball kind of thing, but I will say that the Vigilante that we are most likely to encounter within Tartarus is Chizome Akaguro, aka the hero killer Stain. And if I'm understanding this alignment chart right, he would definitely fall under lawful evil. Stain is a twisted anti-hero that has ideals that caused him to take more of an anti-hero persona because of his approach towards heroic society. His outright hatred for villains and heroes like the newly deceased Native, and also, real quick, Native got away once. If anything, that should have shown the Hero Commission that, he didn't have the standards to become a hero. This dude almost less than, a year ago was almost killed by Stain. They didn't revoke his license or have him even assessed. I mean, is there anything kind of fucked getting audited for, his success? What the hell, dude? The commission's reputation is staked on heroes' successes, so if they die, the commission looks bad. And if they almost die, and then in a completely new incident 6 months later they do die, why wasn't it properly assessed that this dude might not have been the best pick? I know you're short-handed, but come on, man. I mean, Manual in this arc came in clutch. This man Horikoshi created a character 4 years ago with hydrokinesis that had him operate as walking eye drops for this moment specifically. It's hilarious. Either way, I moved away from Stain for a minute, but he could definitely be someone that escapes on his way and murders several villains that are trying to escape on the way out. And part of me does have a feeling that he is definitely not gonna roll with All For One and he'll just do his own thing. And that also makes me wonder, if Stain comes back, what's that mean for Spinner, Dabi, and Toga? I mean, they're already at the jail and ready to meet up with Stain for the first time. The possibility of some pretty far-fetched people could show up. I mean, maybe Hawks' dad, that's a little bit of a stretch, but imagine if someone like Wolfram or maybe Chimera from the movies return. I don't know how people would react to that, because that would make this canon and this canon. And while I'm going wild, I guess maybe we can assume that, Gentle and maybe even Overhaul get thrown into the realm of possibility. Granted, we don't know if Gentle is in Tartarus, but we could totally get that Gentle Stain team up that we've been asking for. Like I said, there's no way those dudes possibly want to team up with All For One, so seeing them break out of Tartarus would be hilarious. And with All For One's second consciousness taking Shigaraki's body and hunting down his own, it really makes me wonder if the climax of this is gonna be like, when Tomura Shigaraki comes back and kills All For One. I mean, if anything, the most recent chapter has kind of educated us to let us know that Shigaraki is absolute force of will now, and he's not meant to be trifled with. It's awesome. I've really been waiting for him to just kind of become this echelonic type of villain, and he's kind of finally getting there. I was totally under the impression that All For One was gonna try to like Orochimaru Shiggy, but with this breakout, it's kind of really thrown me through a loop. Like, maybe there's more steps into consolidating the bodies after all, and these two consciousnesses need to do more to like complete the merge or whatever the fuck it is. Frankly, I think it's pretty awesome that we now know the direction of where the story is heading, but at the same time, we don't know what the bad guy is doing. It just kind of keeps us on our toes at that point. But that's gonna do it for today's video. First and foremost, I gotta give some daps to a viewer today, Nick Scammon. When I was writing this video, Nick commented on a previous video reminding me that there were tons of unique villains still residing within Tartarus. Mustard, Muscular, Hawks' dad. So thank you so much for, just making me think so much more about who could possibly be inside of Tartarus. And also, I can't end today's video without pointing out another comment that just had an amazing theory attached to it that I'm sorry, I just feel like I have to make a video about that too eventually if that's true. This one goes out to Dante Simmons. Dante is actually assuming that Inko Midoriya died, and that she was one of the many victims of Gigantomachia's rampage. And I don't know if his statement is confirmed. I'll do my research, maybe we'll figure this out together. But he said in his comment that it's confirmed. But apparently through the grapevine, Horikoshi cried at the creation of Chapter 297, so I guess we'll find out next week. So, if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that like button. And this is Dan signing off for the first time in 2021. So, Happy New Year and cheers!